Do you support Donald Trump?
Uh, Begrudgingly, yes.
Like, if you could go back in time and you could either vote for Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, who would you vote for?
Oh no, I'd probably vote for Trump again.
Oh, okay. So why is that?
Yeah. Again, I said begrudgingly. Um, and look, I know that like I really don't want to be like divisive. Like I really don't believe in like this false dichotomy. Either way, like if you support one side, you're this, or if you support the other side, you're that. Honestly, for me, um, a lot of it just comes down to like the current social state of the Democratic Party. Um, I think it's a lot of identity politics. I think it's a lot of basically talking down to a majority of the people in this country. Um, and honestly, that just kind of like that's kind of why I voted the way I did, and why I probably would vote the way I did again. I don't know if you have any response to that or any specific like inquiries to why I think that way.
Yeah, yeah. Like, could you give me like a specific example?
Yeah, I think actually currently a really good current example, and you may have like specific feelings about this, but I think what's a good reflection
Well, like,
of the
let
current
me clarify
state.
my question. Like, can you give me a specific example of Democrats talking down to like a majority of the population?
Yeah, no. For example, yeah, I think this is great because actually for a lot of politicians, I know JD Vance actually just talked about this. For example, but I think the current like the Sydney Sweeney like American Eagle ad, um, where a lot of people, and I know like you might have specific feelings about this, but and again, I'm not like maybe they did mean one thing, maybe they did mean another, but either way, I don't. I think a majority of the response from the liberal or Democratic side has been, "Wow, like you think this, you're supporting this, you're supporting that," but it's like if you ask questions, it's like, "Oh, hey, like okay, like maybe actually like let me hear more about
No,
this." Like, okay, you think that this is
think about my idea here. When it comes to the American Eagle Sydney Sweeney ad, there are so many people that are overlooking the development of these ads that they are very well knowing what they're specifically doing when they're trying to say, "Oh, uh, genes are passed down from parents to offspring, right? And that gives me my hair and my eye color when she has blue eyes, right, and blonde hair." And saying that like her genes are good. Do you realize everyone knows how that's coded and the language it's coded within? And we understand that. And we're like, dude, that's weird. And that's all Democrats are saying. That's not speaking down to everyone. That's not talking down to everyone. That's just saying, dude, this is weird. We know that they're coding the language. We know that they are purposefully doing it. We know it's not like an accident, right?
Oh no, it's definitely like let me say this. Like it's definitely weird. I think it was marketed in horrible taste. But do I think that was the intention?
Yes,
I
absolutely. Like, I mean, they have the entire team. It's undisputed. It's their intention. What
I mean,
with what they said explicitly. It's not even just they said genes are passed down from parents to offspring, and they're highlighting the blue color of her eyes and the hair color. That's what she said. She said specifically eyes and hair color. They know what they're doing.
well, okay,
Let's
and
not
again,
infantilize their team. They know what they're doing. They're doing this to make money off of us talking about it. You brought this up. That's the only reason I'm responding to this because they're bringing this up to make money off of it. They're willing to specifically engage in dog whistling like this because they know it makes them money. That's what they're
well,
doing.
okay, and look, and I'm like again, I'm like completely on board with the idea that like it was in terrible taste. You know, maybe I don't know. I just can't get behind the idea that it was intentional. Like maybe, of course,
You know,
like I think
they're dog whistling to create controversy to make money off of that controversy.
and you know
Like
what, like
seriously, let's think about this for 1 second. Seriously, that's exactly what they're doing. They're a business. They're profit maximizing. They're trying to create controversy to bring attention to their brand to make money off of that.
and look, I'm like completely open to the idea that like I could be completely wrong about that. But also, again, I think JD Vance's like response to it, like again, I'm not like I'm definitely not like behind everything JD Vance says or does, but I think his take on it was, honestly, a pretty good take of like if the idea like again, there is another side to it of what I think they maybe intended, and again, I could be completely wrong. Um, but again, they're trying, like, the point of it is to sell clothing. They're obviously marketing to, younger people or whatever. Sydney Sweeney's big actor right now. Obviously, she's very big pop culture.
Do you think it's okay to
And
promote bad things, right, in order to make money off that?
well, I mean, if you wanted to talk about that specifically, then I mean that's just, I mean that could be literally, you could apply that to literally anything. Like, this is like, obviously, this specific instance. Again, I'm completely open to the idea, and also, like, believe that it was done in horrible taste. Like, but the idea that it was intentional, and that this is some sort of
Totally was intentional.
like like
It's
whatever,
it's
like,
these are dog whistles. These are absolutely dog whistles.
I mean, I think
No,
on that,
I'm
like,
not saying anything like, but these are dog whistles. At least like under that context of an alt-right perspective, totally dog whistles.
well, again, so, like, the entire reason I even brought that up is,
And
I
why
think the
are they doing the dog
response.
whistles? To be able to generate controversy to make money off of it. They are willing to engage in dog whistles, which are harmful, in order to be able to make money off of that. And don't see how that's like that's like
No, no, and again,
that's like morally bankrupt.
no, I like, again, if that was the intention, then I'm completely against it. But again, the point of why I even brought that up was the, like, overarching, like, absolute, like, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, like, response that there has been from a lot, not all. Again, let me say not all, and I don't think it's a majority, but I think even, like, the strong response, like, the loud few that have responded to this is pretty indicative of, like, how, like, just the way the left is. Because honestly, the way I interpreted it, again, do I think it was in bad taste? Yes. Do I think the intention was, hey, Sydney Sweeney is obviously a big person in pop culture right now, and obviously, when, her good genes. Again, I don't. I'm not even, honestly, for promoting, cells, as they say, but, like, obviously she's very big. Whatever you could say, icon at this time, trying to sell clothing to people. I
I'm sorry,
mean,
don't be an NPC and buy the argument that just because it is the case that she's quote unquote beautiful under the societal lens, that means that they're referencing good genes just because she's quote unquote beautiful. Like, I don't understand how that, like, people are adopting that argument. I don't think that's a good argument at all. That clearly wasn't their intention behind this. Their intention behind this was to generate controversy to make money off of it. Anyone with like half a brain cell that's functioning properly, given that they understand this argument that I'm saying to them, should be able to understand that that's what's going on here. That's
well,
exactly
and
what they're
again,
doing.
I'm,
And
I'm
also
like, I'm
that's
not.
why I don't bring this up on live stream any more than what I am right now, because I'm not going to bring attention to something that they're clearly trying to create controversy off of to be able to make money off of it. That gives
Well,
them
and
more
again,
attention. It gives them everything they want.
but I've already, like, again, and I've already, like, admitted, like, hey, I could be completely wrong about that. But again, the bigger point of why I even brought that up is, again, like, the social kind of status of the left being just, like, the response that, either on TikTok or YouTube. I think was, again, like, the tinfoil hat kind of controversy, like that,
You,
like that
you think
was.
we're the tinfoil hat? You guys literally are a part of the side that 70% of the Republican Party thinks the 2020 election was rigged with no evidence.
I
What?
mean,
How
well,
are we
okay.
the conspiracy side?
Well,
Because
no, okay. Oh, hold on. I would ask, like, I don't personally, I don't subscribe to that. I
I
mean,
know,
if you
but
wanted to ask me,
70% of
like,
your party does or did. I don't know
well,
if they do now, but did.
but again, I like I said at the start, I don't want to, like, fall into this false dichotomy that just because I voted for Donald Trump, that I also subscribe to other, like, beliefs of the Republican Party. Like, like, again, just because you support, or, like, you a
Wait,
liberal
so
ideology, or
then why
you
are
go
you
to.
assuming that to be true specifically here with Democrats? Because you clearly said because Democrats have this perspective, right, on like the American Eagle ad, that somehow means that they're talking down to a majority of people and playing identity politics. This was specifically brought up by you. It sounds like you're the one that's playing identity politics here.
Well, and, again, the bigger like, the question of, like, again, then the reason for the debate is, why do you support Donald Trump? Again, that was just one example. We can talk about other examples of, like, again, like, what I think the current state of the Democratic Party is, or either other issues that I have with the Democratic Party specifically. I mean, obviously, there's problems with both parties. I mean, I'm no Donald Trump bootlicker. There are plenty of people out there who do that, and I completely disagree with that. I think,
Okay.
obviously, in
Then
in
let
his
me ask
personal
this
life.
question, and this might be able to get me to understand and see how you are. Can you name one specific thing Donald Trump could do that would get you to stop supporting him?
In terms, like, again, the reason I mean, it's like, as like, are you talking about as like something like a moral thing, or like a presidential act that he
Something
would
he could
take?
do,
Or,
something he could support that you would get you to stop supporting the guy.
well, okay, so I mean, in terms of like policy, something that I would like be extremely against, um, that would like, and again, I think this is obviously very mixed, but I think I think heavier U.S. involvement in the Middle East and in Israel, I think that would be like essentially an invasion. That would basically turn me off. I'm like, okay, like I really can't, really couldn't support him at that point. Again, and again, I'm no Donald Trump bootlicker. I think Donald Trump is a horrible
At what
person.
point you wouldn't?
Well, again, if there was even heavier involvement, basically like a U.S. invasion and U.S. invasion to completely just like stomp what was happening in the Middle East right now, like or in Israel and Gaza. And again, I don't want you to
So
think like,
if U.S. invades somewhere in the Middle East,
yeah,
what about
that,
what about if they somewhere in the Middle East?
again, I wasn't for that at all.
So,
I was,
but you'd still
I was,
support him in that context.
well, I think like the way you're framing it and phrasing it is either complete and total support or complete and total rebellion. Um, I don't necessarily agree that that's how it is or how it can be. I mean, I don't even think for you. Obviously I don't think that you. Let's say Kamala Harris. Like, if there was something Kamala Harris did, like even let's say she won the presidency, there's something you did that she did that you didn't like. It's not like you're gonna just completely rebel from her. It's like, okay, hey, I don't like that she did this, but I still, support her presidency or other things that are happening.
And
But
again,
like,
and again, I think we could point to certain things that Donald Trump has done that would be so bad insofar as you wouldn't want to support him anymore. Like he was held civilly liable for woman. He incited a violent insurrection at the Capitol, called for the termination of the Constitution, got 70% of the Democratic Party to believe that the election was stolen with no evidence. Right? I mean, like I can point to plenty of things.
yeah, and again, I'm no like Donald Trump bootlicker, and honestly, the like I wish I almost would have rather had anybody else besides Donald Trump. Um, and again, I think
You wouldn't want anyone else but Trump.
no, I said I would rather have anyone else in the Republican seat besides him.
Okay. What if it was Kamala Harris?
Well, again, so I think again, just continue the conversation about like I think the failed kind of status of the Democratic Party, is you just look at the election. Like I was shocked that Trump won. Like I voted for Trump and I was shocked that he won. And I think just the campaign that Kamala Harris sat on, basically, hey, everything's doing good. We're gonna keep doing that. Obviously, that didn't work.
You know what? If I was a Trump supporter right now, I would be running with the fact that there was like an ex CIA individual that came out that said that there was an NSA audit of the 2024 election saying that it was rigged. Like I would run with that, and because there's more evidence substantiating that than there was the 2020 election being rigged. But we rely on basis of evidence and fact, right? So
well, and again, and there's other issues that I have with the Democratic Party in terms of democracy. I mean, like it just even in terms of like the Democratic nominee for like president, like I think there's like if you even just look at like the last like 3 or 4 elections in terms of like the Democratic nominee being selected, the American people didn't really have a say in terms of like who was, especially in this last election, like the Democratic Party got no say in terms of who was going to be the Democratic nominee. I think the Democratic Party
80% of the Democratic Party was satisfied with Kamala Harris being the nominee. I think we definitely preferred Kamala Harris over Joe Biden.
I mean, I think again, I think most people would.
And again, if most people right in the Democratic Party voted for Joe Biden and they support Kamala Harris over Joe Biden, then what's the issue there?
Well, again, I think it just comes down to like even you look at back in the 2020 election, just like how like nominees were selected. I think just even in terms of how the Democratic Party is being ran, in terms of how they're responding to constituents, how they're responding to like essentially just even like things like with the Sydney Sweeney ad. Again, there's plenty of issues I have with the Republican Party. There's plenty of issues I have with Trump. There's plenty of issues that I have with plenty of politicians on the red side. But again, like I think the social status and especially the political status of the Democratic Party has not only failed its constituents, but they failed themselves.
And again, although I can agree with the fact that they have failed within many ways, I can acknowledge that Trump supporters and Republicans have failed to an even greater extent.
Okay, like how? Like in your opinion, like how?
Yeah, so like for example, I can point to the fact that again, Democrats have been advocating for the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the Chips and Science Act, the PACT Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, while Donald Trump under his administration literally just took money from people who are poor and gave it to people who are rich. Right? Like we can point to how like again, the working class is specifically focused on when we reference Democrats being in office and what they're trying to compromise on and work on. Whereas when Trump is in office, he's clearly trying to put the interests of the rich and wealthy, right, at like the pinnacle of everything, and he's that's partisan. No Democrats voted for it.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's policy that is being implemented currently that like I don't agree with, like especially like very like popularly, the public broadcasting service, like funding being stripped for them. I'm certainly like completely against that. Like I think that's a failure on the part of like this current administration.
And again, like for example, if Donald Trump like was held civilly liable of a woman, would you stop supporting him?
I mean, yeah. So in the terms of that, like, again, like I feel like the only reason, like, because I think it's hard on both sides again, because I feel like both sides are almost being held hostage like the Republican and Democrat side in terms of who their nominee is going to be, because it's almost like it's like pick your poison.
I'm referencing like given the last administration, would you vote for Donald Trump held civilly liable of a woman or Kamala Harris? And again, just remember, I'm referencing like if you could go back in time.
Or are you talking about the cases in New York where he was acquitted? Like I'm just
no, he wasn't acquitted, and again, he was held civilly liable of unanimously amongst a jury of 9 people.
I mean, yeah, like look, it's just like it's like super tough, and that's just honestly that's just a pill that like any Trump supporter is just gonna have to swallow. Like I mean, I'll just like openly like yes, I think Donald Trump's a terrible person. I think he's a terrible.
So
person.
Like you, and again, you would vote for him if you were held civilly liable of.
Well, I would like to like what specific like case are you referring to? Like in what state? Like what specific instance?
Does that matter?
Well, I mean, was he held?
Like I'm just giving like a hypothetical, and again, like
a hypothetical.
Yeah, like a hypothetical. And again,
if he was held, if he was like actually like criminally confirmed guilty.
No, and again, I'm referencing civil liability.
Civil liability. Well, like again, like is this just a hypothetical, or like are you trying to reference like a specific case where he was held civilly liable?
It's a hypothetical.
I mean, in the specific hypothetical that you're mentioning, that would like I would definitely like my personal support would not be there. That doesn't mean that my support's going to shift to Kamala Harris, but like, my personal
you wouldn't vote for Donald Trump, correct?
In that specific hypothetical, if I could go back in time, again, I think talking in hypotheticals is almost
sure, but in that specific hypothetical.
My support would probably not be there for him.
Okay, so well, that hypothetical is reality. We live in that timeline, and Donald Trump was held civilly liable of unanimously amongst a jury of 9 people. So you clearly don't support Donald Trump, do you?
But now you're dealing in bad faith, because I literally was like, hey, what court case are you specifically referencing?
I was saying it was hypothetical because I was just trying to demonstrate to the class, which I did very so greatly, and I tricked you, obviously very clearly.
Again, but like you're debating
I tricked you. No, it's not bad faith.
practice.
That's not bad faith. It's actually tricking you because I know that you have confirmation bias, and I know that if you think it's hypothetical, that you're willing to like concede more ground than if you know if it's reality, right?
No,
so
but
if I pose reality as if it's just hypothetical, right? In that set of circumstances, then you're like, you understand how bad it is. For some reason, I don't know why this happens with Trump supporters, but I do it all the time, and it works. It works all the time, and then they change their views right after. It's like clockwork. It's like right after they just immediately start defending the position. Right after they said they wouldn't support
I mean,
it if it
again,
were in a
like,
hypothetical scenario.